I
Damn.
have one question.
Oh shit.
Was it Fausto?
Oh, you mean the killings?
No, like the body. Was it Fausto? Is Fausto dead or is he alive?
I can't really say, dude. It's up to the reader to decide that.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a
You
bitch.
son of a bitch.
So, did you enjoy it? Really? Did it?
I
Did it
really did.
hit?
I really did. I loved it, dude. I loved it. I thought the story was very, very real. I felt, I said to my dad, I said that, like I just finished it and stuff. You guys were talking about Expectation of Plenty. Go to www.thomasroosebazaar.com and get your own copy.
Or Amazon too, or Amazon.
It's linked in the website. Wherever you want to go. I told my dad and I said, if I had picked up this book and I had no idea you wrote it, and someone said, "Guess who wrote it?" I would have guessed you. It's very you.
No.
Yeah, it's very you. But I mean, we've just talked about that like so much. So I mean, I'm sure that's got something to do with it. But like the flow, the rhythm that you always talked about, I got it, and it was very interesting in a very real, very cool way. That kind of, I don't know if you know this, but I'm like heavily dyslexic. I don't know if you know that. Like,
I didn't know that. No.
I
No.
really struggle reading. Like I'm not like diagnosed dyslexic, but I'm definitely dyslexic, and I've got like a ton of dyslexic friends, and they all tell me, yeah, you're dyslexic. Like dyslexic as fuck. Like I can't read anything, and that's what like
So-
the number.
Let me ask you, I'm sorry to interrupt really quick. How'd you read it in 2 days then, if that's the case? And now I'm not trying to sound like a dick. I'm not trying to sound like a dick.
No, I'm gonna tell you. And so like this is why I think it worked so well for me, right? And so yeah, I really struggle reading. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't read things. I can read plays because, the dialogue's separated and it's very blocky and clear. To me, I don't know why. Like I can read scripts. Like my eyes work on scripts. But then the second there's a chunk of dialogue, can't do it. So like even like on a script, like when someone's got this huge monologue, I have to separate it. Like I just can't read it. And so I won't lie. At the start of the book, I didn't know how I was going to read it. I started reading it, and then with the rhythm and just the way that you write, which by the end of the book I think is brilliant, by the way, just the way that you kind of get through everything and like get to the point. It's very real, it's very alive in a very cool way. I was reading it and I was really struggling. It took me like I read the first like 20 pages over the space of like an hour, I think. Like I was really struggling to get into it. And then things just kind of clicked. And I understood the rhythm. And I think the rhythm that you talk about, right? Like in like the verse almost saved me from my dyslexic tendencies. And I tell you and I'll tell you, so I found it way easier to read than say, I pick up Of Mice and Men or something, right? That allowed me to read it much clearer after I got used to it. It was really difficult at the start, I won't lie, and then I got like really like into the verse. And I think the other thing that saved it is I think your chapters are brilliant. For starters, the length. I'm one of those guys where like, when I have to stop reading for whatever reason, like I need to go to the toilet or whatever, I'm having dinner, I have to get to the end of the chapter. I don't like to leave it like in the middle of a chapter, in the middle of a page or whatever. I have to get to the end of the chapter. So I loved that your chapters were really, snappy, because I could get to a point where it's okay to stop whenever I wanted to. And that just made like the enjoyment of reading the book so much more. But the titles, at the start, I was like, oh, I kind of wish they were numbered so I could remember where I was and stuff. But in reality, the chapters, like word plus word plus word or whatever, made it like a scavenger hunt. because like you related to the titles of the chapters so well, whether it be thematically or word for word. You know, it's like when you watch a show or you watch a movie and they say the name of the movie and you're like, ah, you know, like it was so. And I think that clicked my brain to like pay attention even more because I began looking for those references to the chapter titles. So it really combated it for me, and in the end, I found it a very easy read, which is like I've never really had that before. I've always struggled reading books.
Wow. Wow.
So it was an ease for me. The story was great. I loved it. I loved how just, you know, what's interesting. So Cassie was interested, and Cassie's going to read it next, by the way. And she said, "Read me the blurb," and I read the blurb, and I think the blurb, I went into it expecting one thing, and I think if there's one thing of like constructive criticism I could give is I think the blurb could be a bit better, because to me anyway, with how I was reading it, it was much less so. I think you described the, you know, the man coming for like, I don't want to give too much away. But like, you know, the man coming to murder him or like coming to avenge his family's death. And to me, it was a lot less about that and a much more just about survival and just, I don't know, just the way that you wrote the verse, the way the chapters were structured, the characters, the beautiful description of the characters. You had such a great way of describing things, which left just enough to be desired, like within your creative imagination, which is another reason why I don't like reading books, because I feel like when I read a book, because I've got such a creative mind, I start to imagine a character a certain way, or I start to predict where the story's going to go. And then when they write it or they say something about the character that abolishes what I've created in my mind, I get disappointed, if that makes sense. And I think you described things in such a perfect way where it was heavily descriptive, yet very, you know, you didn't spend 3 pages describing one thing. You know what I mean? So like it left enough where like, okay, I've got the basic. I can also like play with it a little in my mind with my imagination. But again, it just everything you did brings you into the life of these vagrants, where I felt like, you know, the tension of being on the streets with them, with you know, a killer on the loose, with the struggle and strife to make money, the, you know, pleading and watching around every corner so you don't get kicked out by Gabriello and everything. And I thought it was fantastic, dude. You know, my only thing is I feel I'm so sorry I didn't read it sooner. You know, like I just you know, it came out I think the year I graduated, and then I got really lazy and I should have read it before I left America, and then I left America and everything happened, and you know, I'm glad I finally got to it. But I thought it was really, really good, dude. I thought it was really, really good. I think it was, the length was beautiful. Perfect length. It was as long as it needed to be. And, you know, I loved the ending with the dream and the tie back to the seals that was kind of popping up throughout. I loved the motifs with the hearing, you know, that always came back to the distant stars, and which again brought back to the, oh, it's so real, and like it's, you know, their strife for survival in a world where they're just not valued, and it's also small and insignificant and like meaningless, and which I'm guessing that's what you were going for with that, to come back. And it was great, dude. It was great.
Thank you, buddy.
It was
Thank
great.
You, man. I appreciate that. PK, what's up?
What's up, guys? Sorry, I just had to go on off a little tangent there. I just had to. How you doing, PK?
You were going to say I cut you off. You were going to say something. I cut you off.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you yesterday when I finished it, but then I figured I better save it for the podcast. And I wanted to. I know that you would appreciate, you know, you would want more than just, oh, I loved it. You know, like, I mean, I'm the same, like, you want some actual, like, feedback and, you know, examples and stuff. So I spent the day, like, thinking on it, and I was like, okay, I got to come up with some real, like, genuine feedback to give him. And so I've had this planned out. So yeah.
What's up, Kayla? What's up, Kayla? Hey, so check it out. That's very thoughtful of you. I appreciate you reading it. And because of that, I understand I shouldn't even clarify any, but here, let me say this before I get off track. If you're on chat and you're new to us, just say hi, drop a line. Don't lurk in the shadows. Throw something out. Say hi, introduce yourself. Okay. Because I have some legit questions based on dude, I've been writing after that. I finished 2 manuscripts, almost a third. And not that the writing is similar, but of course, each project requires a different. But I think as a writer, I've greatly improved from what you read.
Okay.
Even though I feel very proud of that accomplishment. And let me ask you, do you think this is a book that people, just generally speaking, could enjoy?
I think
I'm not just enjoy.
I got you. I think yes, but I think more so the reason is people should read that book because they need to read that book. What I mean by that is the themes, the motifs, the authenticity, let me rephrase it. You come away thinking about life, and you know, we always talk about the art is supposed to leave us changed, right? And I think that your book was actually a perfect example of it. You raised so many questions for the reader to ask themselves about their position in the universe, their position in society and life. You know, one of my favorite scenes in the piece or chapters in the piece was the appreciate you, Kay, love you. Was the scene towards the latter half of the book where after Vincent was kicked out of the church and he's back on the streets again, and you talk about the kids, the 3 kids down the street who like pass him and tease him and laugh at him and then walk away or like out of view like it was nothing, and you know, like little things like that. And then the scene where you come back to God, I can't remember her name, the Queen of the Streets, and that little interaction that they have. Dude,
fuck, it's been so long, I even forget.
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that crazy? I know
I'm
who
sure.
You're yeah. Oh shit. Oh my god, I can't believe I don't know.
That little interaction with the Queen of the Streets where they're both there on that park bench, and she's talking about her dog that got hit after she like tipped over her cart, and you know, they're having these 2 characters that don't really like each other have this very real, very authentic conversation where you come to find that she's actually very, very similar in pretty much every way to Vincent. You know, and it ends with, you know, her bringing out the book and those other the charity woman coming up asking for money from, you know, 2 vagrants, and she brings out the little purse around her neck, gives, you know, it's just, it teaches you so much about life, and it makes you look in and it makes you look out, which I think is very difficult, right? In art or in a book specifically, in my experience, which is very little, I think art either makes you look in or it makes you look out, if that makes sense. Your book made me look both in and out, and then take that and then look at that as a bigger picture. Does that make sense? And I think that that's why people need to read it. I think, yes, it's very enjoyable and that they should, but the reason why they should read it is because they need to read it. And very much can change the view of a lot of people that, I hate to say it, in the world we live in today, need a big kick in the arse, a reality check. And I think that this book has the ability to do that for a lot of people. And I mean, like what we say as well, like, why can't it get out there? Why can't, 1 million people read that book and enjoy it and love it? Like, why can't they? There's no difference than what I read in, a Harry Potter book. What's her face? Roald Dahl and, all that. And there's no difference. Like, it was a great, great book.
Thank you, buddy. Shit. I mean, it's
XD said hello to both companions, the swole, stoic, intelligent Baze, and just Gibbo. Thanks, XD.
So true. Hey, buddy, look, I know we're in a public forum right now, but that means a lot to me. All these things, what you just in a nutshell. It's a surprise, meaning that you read it, meaning I didn't even think anything. It was not even, and for you to even say that, especially, we love you too, XD. We love you too, buddy.
I don't.
And with your challenges, reading, right, and battling through that, and it's interesting. You said the first part of it, the first 20 pages, was it difficult because of your dyslexia or the story? You're trying to grasp a story, or a combination of both? Because I'm a firm believer in, and I think this is a prime example of this book. I think of things, dude, a lot of my writing, imagine why I'm so much in love, because of the things you just said, right? Which are huge, dude, I mean, that's why I write books, dude, because of the freedom. Imagine, that started with a blank page. That thing that I created started with a blank page, and the architecture and the building of that, and you saying what you said. And I mean, that's why I write books, man. That what the effect that it's had on you. Well, I appreciate that. And the effect, can you imagine that? I think I'm building a body of work. And this book, because it was a small publisher, they didn't put any marketing behind it. I have to do all the marketing.
Right.
And of course, it was during COVID. It came out during COVID, not a good time, right? Yeah. It kind of died a very quick and swift death. But like other books in the past that initially didn't see the light of day, maybe this book will eventually find its way. And what you're saying, like, imagine 1 million people around the world, 2 million. And if it had the impact that it did on you, why couldn't it have that impact on what you said? Like, you need to read it. Dude, there's no better. When you say that about anybody's work, you need to go see this. You need to go to that museum. Yeah. You need to go see this dance piece. Dude, wow, that's powerful, man. Yeah, that is fucking powerful.
It was a powerful book. There's no reason that Ubu can't refresh it, re-release. There's no reason that we can't do something about that.
We gotta talk. And
by the time you leave here, that'll be up.
Well, we gotta definitely. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to what we're gonna do, to what we're gonna accomplish, and then also just being, to be together and chill and enjoy life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah. So to answer your question, why I struggled at the start there, I actually think that, again, it's another compliment. I think just I went into it thinking, I was going to read a book, and books are very, I guess every writer kind of has their own style, obviously, right?
Yes,
but
absolutely.
To me, structurally, it's pretty similar. When I picked up your book and the way that it just kind of picks up and goes, and it's straight through it, and it's life, and it's alive, I think that just took me by a surprise. And so, like, I was thinking I was going to get into it in like one way, and it wasn't that. I think that your unique style is unique. It's not like a different variation here and there. Like, it's your own thing. And that's why I said, like, I could have guessed that you wrote it, because I got you in it. But that's because I know you very, very well. And I think just because that style of your writing is so different that I couldn't wrap my head around it at first because of my struggles reading. But I mean, after that first hour of reading, I was in. It was done. And I think as well, like with the dialogue in it, like the actual dialogue, like where the characters speak and stuff. I was expecting quotations and the whole thing, but there weren't any. And so at the start there, it was a little confusing to me who was speaking and like when and like how. But I mean, I got that very quickly. And the second I got it, I was like, wow, this works so much better than he said this and he said that. It worked. It was, again, just alive. Like, that's the biggest part, the biggest compliment of the book was that it was alive. Like, it was a living thing, and that you got that and you were brought into that the whole time. And it was because of the style and the way in which you wrote it and the dialogue and what a beat, it. One of the only things I can say, like, constructive criticism wise, isn't even a criticism, because I don't want you to change it. The one thing that I wish, I guess, was in the book, but I don't want it to be in the book, was translations. There were times where, I'm European, I speak Italian, so like a lot of the dialogue in other languages I kind of understood, because all these European dialects, they're very similar. But there were times where I wonder what they're saying. It was very few times, but I don't want you to translate it. And like most of the time you did a very good job of inferring what they were saying through like the replies and stuff. But I don't want you to translate it, because that would take away from the authenticity of it. That it's just this, collection of people from all over the world with different backstories, different journeys, the Haitians, the Italians, the Portuguese, like that. Again, it was so beautiful and worked so well. So, I mean, there was, in the back of my mind, there was a couple of times where I did kind of wish I knew what they said, but I wouldn't trade that in, And then the only like real piece of constructive criticism I could say is I think you could do a better job with the blurb. I think the blurb. I think. I don't know. I read the blurb and I was expecting one thing, and I was pleasantly surprised, which is a really good thing. I mean, obviously not to give it away, but I think that the story is much more about like life and survival and as a whole, as opposed to like, the one pursuits of this guy. And I don't know, that, in my opinion, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that's the only thing I could say about it. And the only other thing I could say about it, I don't even want you to fix it. So, I can't.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Mm.
So do you get like where my absolute, it's after years of frustration with publishing, imagine of what you're saying to me. Like, there's no greater testimony than what you're saying here in front of others about how my work affected you.
There is no reason it can't get out there. No, but
hold on. How it affected you, and the thing is, and it does affect. So if someone was a stranger, now I'm talking even these folks. Heck, how about if I never did a podcast, I never did Poet Warriors, and people just wouldn't know me. I think the way they would receive that book, not knowing me, like this, or you, like you know me, and being purely have no effect, no understanding of who the author is. The author's a stranger. The author, you just read the name and boom, get into the work. And I think in that way, the work will be even more powerful because it's interesting because you say, yeah. So yeah, I mean, imagine that, yeah, and then like, look, all this stuff that we do, we post, and if anyone were to look me up, that shit would pop up, and they would like, let's say, oh, there he is. Like, let's just say I start getting to be a well-known writer. Oh, there he is, and they'll start listening to me, and even that, you get a sense of my personality, my character, my rhythms. You hear my voice, and sometimes that could be a thing where you hear my voice, and if you're reading a work of mine, you know, the human mind, the imagination works in odd ways, man. So, you know, that's where my great frustration, Gibby, is hearing what you just said to me. And of course, your insight is so meaningful because of our relationship. It carries a lot of weight, dude. And not being, dude, not, my work is, honestly, if I could put it in just blunt terms, largely ignored. Not even, it's not even a blip on the screen, dude.
Yeah.
So if you're saying that my work has that impact, not potentially, has, you're telling me it has that impact.
Yeah. You know, and I would say, I would say as well, I mean, like, I'm not gonna, you know, not to toot my own horn or anything like that, right? But I would consider myself a very worldly person. You know, I'm very young. You know, I'm 23 years old and I've already lived in 3 countries. There's only one continent that I haven't seen. I had a very, you know, fortunate childhood where I traveled around the world. And
would that be Antarctica?
It would be. It would be. You know, I would consider myself a very worldly person. And I think that with what I'm saying, the impact that it has and the impact on the world that it can change that kind of, you know, the perspectives of people and the kind of closed-mindedness. If that had an impact of what I'm saying on me, like, I can't even really like imagine the impact on somebody who isn't. Does that make sense? Like someone, for example, like Cassie, for example, like this is I'd be interested to see what she says. Like she's going to read it next. You know, she had never left the country before. This is the first time she left America, and she's much more open-minded now. But I mean, for example, her brothers who have never left the country, people who have never left the place of their birth, you know, people who haven't finished their education yet, you know, even people who are just moving to a new and scary place, or like, you know, for example, I think the impact that I'm talking about could be applicable to all eras of life, right? Like moving to a new country, starting a new school, starting like high school, right? And the way that you can perceive strangers and others and, you know, authoritarian rules and, you know,
institutions.
Yeah, there you go. Just, yeah, I wonder the impact that it could have on somebody not like me, if that makes sense. And I think that that's very, very cool.
Dude, do me a favor then. This matters. You know, yours would be the first review. If you could go to Amazon, click on my book and put a review, and also Goodreads. Goodreads too. Those 2 sites. Hey, but you can't mention that you're related to me. Say, hey, my good buddy wrote that. You can't. Yeah. They won't post it.
I don't think it matters. I mean, yeah, obviously, but I mean, like, you know, I'm not saying any of this because I'm your friend. You know, I know. I won't.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just saying, you know, like, it just doesn't matter. You know, like, if anything, I think it means more. You know, I'm close enough to the point with you. You know, like if I didn't enjoy it, you know, I would never tell you I hate it, but I mean, this would be a completely different conversation, you know, like I completely, and I know that you would value you know, a legitimate opinion, you know, and, like I would never bullshit you. And, yeah, I mean, like, it's just not a thing. And I think even like, you know, like what you were saying, how about if they don't know who I am as the author? I think honestly, like you said, yeah, that makes it better. I mean, like, I didn't really have any sway or understanding or any impacts because I know you or anything. I kind of like, after I like reflected on it, I was like, okay, this was so base. And like, that's the only kind of thought I had about that. But I mean, I think through this
what do you
book,
like? Let me go ahead through this book.
Through this book, I think you as an author would go from, you know, say I'd never met you before in my life. You as the author, I feel like would go from being a complete stranger to somebody that I could say that I knew. Does that make sense?
Wow, yeah.
Like, I think you poured a lot into it with and again, you know, maybe this is just because I know you, but and I know what you're about and why you write. You say is you want to leave your you know, you want to leave behind evidence of your thoughts of the human condition, your experience of the human condition. I think through that, I could get through the book Expectation of Plenty. I could get to know your ideals, your kind of personality and characteristics in the way that you interact with your society around you through the beliefs and the ideals that you instill into your writing of this piece. I think I would come out of it feeling like I knew you. And I wasn't expecting that. And I think that's a very, very hard thing to do. At least I haven't read anything like that where I'm like, this author's a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, I would come out of it being like, this author's a good guy. You know, like, he's trying to do something here. He's clearly, you know, I don't know. I can't really say any more than that. Like, I hope that makes sense to you.
It does make sense, buddy. That's really kind. And yeah, it's you know, you're basically expressing I hate to say this. I hope I don't sound like full of myself, but you have to have a little bit of belief in yourself, right?
Absolutely.
This is what I'm
getting at.
So what you're voicing out loud is how I feel about my writing. How I feel about it.
Then great. Then you nailed it.
Well, but hold on. So if I have that feeling, and dude, I'm telling you, it is the Sahara fucking desert out there publishing. It's I just don't. It's like a mind fuck, because you're saying this to my book, my book, and publishing, dude. You don't even see it. It's down way down there.
That's why we're going to take care of that and change it. There's no reason, dude, that couldn't be everything you want it to be. And you know, I mean, obviously, like a big reason why I read it as well, or you know, one of the reasons. What up, Harley?
Hey, Harley.
Is you know, obviously we have these plans with our press and stuff to do with that. So I mean, you know, if we're going to start trying to sell that and like do stuff with that, I should read the book. Like, I should know what it is, you know? And I would be so proud to do something for that book, be a part of getting people to read that book and understand that message, preaching that message, and raising you to the esteem that you should be. Like, I'm so proud that I'm excited to do something with that, having read it now, because I really think very highly of it.
Harley's lost. You want to fill her in a 30-second nutshell? In a 30-second nutshell.
I finally read one of Baze's books, Expectation of Plenty. Go to his website, www.thomasroosbazaar.com, or on Amazon. Read it for yourself. I'm just giving him my thoughts, my 2 cents.
Dude, it's more than 2 cents. You've given me 200 cents.
Dang. Why not 2 billion? You need to audiobook, dude. That's the next step. For Ubu and stuff, you need to do an audiobook.
Okay, we'll do it. What do you think about the filmic qualities of the book? Do you think it would make a film?
I was going to say this to you, and honestly, I kind of debated. I don't think I was going to, because you imagine it one way, and I didn't want to crunch on that or whatever. There's something we could do with that, dude. Like, when you come, I've got thoughts, I've got ideas.
How about a series, dude? A series.
Yeah. I think you'd have to go beyond the book if you were doing a series, though. But a short, even a short film, or a collection of skits, that you like. You know what would be really, really cool? Almost
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Keep that. I'm sorry, dude. Okay, Haley is awesome.
Holly.
Bubbles is talking shit, dude. Harley. Oh, Harley. I'm sorry. Hey, but Bubbles is talking shit as usual. Per usual, Bubbles is talking shit.
Talk shit, get banged.
Keep on going. You were saying.
Well, Baze, I thought we had something special. You've lost it now. No more flirtatious behavior on podcasts.
It's no, but I can't remember the name. It's just, remember, I am right now, I'm kind of a bumbling idiot because I'm being showered with praise.
There you go.
And whenever Harley, I'm showered with praise, I get a little worked up. And what I do is I drop a syllable in names, usually, Harley. So if I drop the syllable, you have to forgive me. This is totally legit, what I'm saying, explaining. Thank you for giving me. Oh, thank God. Some say I have a large forehead. I promise you, I will put that forehead to good use in one of my novels of the future.
There you go.
I will talk about a man with a large, abnormally large forehead.
I like that.
All jokes, dude. All jokes.
More
Damn,
headspace
girl.
to kiss. There you go.
Damn. I'm popular. Finally, I'm popular.
There you go.
You're probably also saying that the dude that wrote the book that you read recently, also, dude, he must be like a very, really, like a lonely, miserable fuck, dude. That's what you're probably thinking too. Like, yeah, this is Baze, a lonely, miserable fuck.
Is that why you constructed your dream woman with Kiki?
Dude, what? Okay,
just a fat homeless slut.
I'll break your kneecaps. That's right.
She's defending you because XD said more space for the sun to reflect off of.
It's true. Look at that shit. It's like blinding everybody. Are my eyes like that?
See, funnily enough, since we're talking about your shit, they're open.
I wasn't going to come to see you tomorrow. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't. All this was made up, and I would have just said, "Dude, I'm not feeling well. I'm sorry. I can't make it out."
Right.
But since you actually, because, dude, yes, I've been harboring resentment. Like, it came to me like probably a week ago. I was just laying in bed. I had gastric problems. Do you know what gastric problems are by any chance?
I do. I share your problems.
They sound like this. Ready? That's like that. That's gastric problem.
Right.
So I had some gastric problems, and so it was not. I was not in a positive frame of mind, and I said to myself, because I was in a positive, you popped into my head.
I get that a lot, actually, with people with gastric problems. They seem to think of me when they have issues.
I have no gallbladder. Oh, shit.
You can have mine, Holly.
That could be a skit, like a 20-second skit. Like we could, Harley could pop on. She's like, I have no gallbladder. And then you pop on. You could have mine, Harley. I'm done. 15-second, 5 billion views.
I love it. So go on, you were saying, or else you were sitting there with gastric issues.
Gastric issues. You popped into my head because look, I have a lot of head.
Right here. A lot of head.
And I also have a lot of head, right? Okay. So, you know why I have a lot of head down there? Because, dude, we're groin-centered actors.
Groin-centered actors, bro.
It's a real thing.
Absolutely.
What was I? Okay, so you popped into my head, and then all of a sudden, one thing led to another. When things get linked, and like, oh, that motherfucker never read my novel, right? That popped into my head, and then between that, you would hear, right? There would be some of that,
right.
And then I said, you know what? Fuck him. I'm gonna call him.
You should.
Tomorrow. Well, I was going to, and I said, but in my mind, I was like, this son of a bitch had 4 years to read this book. He hasn't cracked it open. In my mind, of course. But then tomorrow, I'd be like, I call you, oh, Gibby, yeah, and you would hear in the background, you would hear this shit,
right?
And then you would understand. But then that harboring, dude, you talk layers of moss and concrete.
Years of angst.
Rust, right? That's built up of just sheer resentment. The plane wouldn't take off the ground, dude.
Right.
The plane wouldn't take off the ground.
Well, I'm sorry. I deeply, deeply regret it. Deeply regret it.
You made it up in the last 45 minutes, Bubba.
There you go.
You made it up in the last 45. No. Of course, look, you can't force anybody. And I made it a point to her as a writer. I would, you would look, you're hopefully in the business of the time you put in, you want to sell your work.
Right.
And, if people know about it, I'm not the type to bug people. Hey, did you read my book? Read my book. I'm not that kind of guy. If you get to it, you get to it. If you don't, you don't. Man, I'm
just sorry it took so long, dude. I wanted to. You remember I said I wanted to. I was actually going to read it on the plane over here, and it made its way into our stuff to be shipped. So it's been in a storage container in the States for the past 2 years. And I mean, like, I wanted to read it physically. I wanted to read it physically, like not I wanted to So, I mean, at least the past 2 years, it's not been on me. But before that, it's all me, and I apologize for it.
No, dude, it's no big deal. Come on, please. No big deal.
The only thing is, I want to know if Fausto's alive or dead, bro. If I tell you what I think first, can you tell me how you envision it?
I will give you a reaction.
You give me a reaction. Okay, I actually really liked Fausto, the character. Shocker, since he was, after Faustus. Love Faustus. I loved that, by the way. And I loved that you put me in the book. I know it's not me, but Gabriello. It's me. I turned to Cassie and I said, there's a character in this book called Gabriello, and then there's also a character that's like named after Faustus, and I was like, did he write this for me?
There you go.
There you go. I want him to be alive because I liked him so much. I want him to be alive, but I think he's dead. That's the reaction. You don't give me like a smile or a frown or anything. I feel like it can't be any other way than him being dead, but I want him to be alive.
But time out. It's okay. The mystery, the unknown is okay. It's okay. You know, that lends itself to the like that I had no idea that was going to happen. Instinctually, that image and the way things kind of ended. Look, I really think it sounds common and like, of course, dude. What I'm about to say, of course, dude. I'm a firm believer in strong beginnings and strong endings. Of course, everything in between. But dude, you have to have a strong. Even if the strong beginning is, you don't have to like drop the bomb in the first paragraph. Yeah, I don't believe that. You can't. You could still have a strong beginning, and it doesn't have to give so much away.
Yeah.
I don't like. I hope you got this. As a writer, I don't like to give a lot away. I leave it up to you to imagine it.
That's what I said I loved, because I hate that about other books. I get let down, disappointed by it.
Yes, thank you. Can I ask you, just about 10 seconds ago, were you gesturing? Were you gesturing? Were you gesturing with your hands? Because all I saw was like this. Like that. Like this. Like barely. Were your hands raised? I
take back everything I said about your book.
We have to get everybody back in. XD, Harley. See, I didn't get Harley's name wrong.
There you go. He wants to flirt Harley. He's feeling lonely.
Not Bubbles. Not Bubbles. Not Bubbles, dude.
No, you made me think of another thing as well. I mean, the way at which you handled Fausto, like asking the question, is he alive, is he not alive, with, you know, Vincent looking in closer, and then you see the smudged P, and the second you say smudged P, the guy snaps down the sleeves, and like it was just done so quickly. So then you're left in a state of as much shock as Vincent's in, and as much confusion as Vincent's in, and it was very, very clever the way in which you did it, and very original as well, which was really cool.
Again? Which is, hold on, do you know who is I have cool problems? Do you know that person?
That be my buddy Sassy Sasquatch.
Dude, these names that you come up with, like my novel that I'm working on now, they have those kind of names. What you just said, like Sassy Sasquatch. I love shit like that. I love names like that. What were you talking about? Where I handle it was original. What, Vincent the Smudge? What did you
the way that Vincent got kicked out of the room, like, you know, your time's up, you've already had more than you're allowed, when he's IDing the body, when he's IDing the body that might be Fausto or not. Was done so well and so cleverly, to the point where, you know, you're in the confusion, and it's just an abrupt, you know, like I said, he sees he doesn't see the tattoo, and you're like, oh, okay, all is well. And then he has a second look where he gets closer, and then you say like, oh, and there's a smudged P, and the detective comes in and pulls down the sleeve, and he's like, you've had all you're getting, you're gone, like, that's it. And he's like, what, but I didn't see it. And he's like, no, bye, you're gone. So, like, you're just shut out, like Vincent's shut out, and then, you know, I think that's probably the moment that the reader and Vincent become one, in, like, or at least for me, like, I mean, I was very into what was going on, and very into what Vincent was happening as well, but for me, I felt like I was one of the vagrants throughout the whole book, right? Like, I was a vagrant, kind of hearing his story, like as if I was sitting on one of these cots and he was telling me about what just happened. Like, I felt like I was a vagrant, fighting for survival, fighting for food, fighting to not be kicked out from Gabriello. And then when the IDing of the body happened with Fausto, I became Vincent, and I began thinking as a Vincent, and all the way through to the end after that, right, where he runs up the stairs to get away from Ibrahim, and and then there's Tristal with the 1, 2, 3, right? Like, you know, it was all just so from the point of the IDing body probably until the Tristo encounter at the end. I feel like I was one with Vincent, and the rest of the time I was a vagrant experiencing the life of a vagrant.
Oh wow,
which was very cool.
Wow.
Yeah, which was really interesting and very cool.
Wow, man. Look, couldn't be this, you know, if we just actually put our minds to it, wouldn't this be an interesting fucking series, dude? Like a series, not a film.
What, like we have like a I thought you meant like we had a book club, like we just talked about books.
No, series, like a series.
yeah.
So like this would be a like
I
a
agree.
not like a
Yeah, I think I had some cool ideas. Like it could be a series, it could be a short film, it could be kind of like a variety show of different vagrants having different experiences. Like you did so well telling people's backstories and telling people's interactions. Like, you know, they could just be like you know how like Monty Python started on the stage with all of their variety shows and the variety skits. It could be a very similar thing where it's all these, they're all, and the one underlying thing, the one thing linking them is that they're all vagrants, but they're all tell a different story and they all have different interactions, right? Like in one scene you've got the the Haitian woman, in another scene you've got Fausto doing what must be done, right? You know, in another one you've got Vincent and you know, Trausto or whatever, and then you've got Abraham and his parents, and you know, like it's like you've got all of these scenes that come together into one unifying message. That would be really cool. And then the other idea I had as well was like you could also do make it a documentary. Like the whole thing could kind of be the whole thing could kind of be the whole thing could be from the perspective of you know, there's that one scene where like there's the news reporter reporting one of the murders. Whole thing could be done from like the news point of view, right? And it's like camera over the shoulder and a guy going around interviewing vagrants, telling the story as what's happening. And so like he's basically like this whole narrator thing, and then you have, you know, different interactions with the vagrants, and that's how the story comes out. And there's, you know, I that would also be really cool, and it's like more documentary, like over the shoulder Blair Witch Project style. And there's I think there's a lot you could do with it for the stage, for the film, for a film. You know, I think the idea can be taken wherever you want with it, really, in some very cool ways.